Head Shala, my friends. We are Super Kami Guru 9000, and today we're going to give you our quick little review of Dragon Ball Z, The Resurrection of F, the brand new Dragon Ball Z movie, which we got to see in U.S. theaters. And I gotta say, this was an amazing movie experience.
So there we are. We're in this brand new movie theater, because Corey and I, we actually didn't choose this, but we always go to the newest movie theater to see, like, the best new movies. Because we're like, they got the best projectors, they got the best speakers, so whenever a new movie theater comes up, like, within 15 miles of us, we always go there from then on to see all the cool new movies. So we walk into this really nice movie theater. We sit down in these seats that have... They have, like, the electronic things to, like, put the bottom up, and you're like, wait, they're not even manual? There's, like, a button and a motor, and we're like, oh, my God, this is going to be amazing. This is how we're going to see the new Dragon Ball Z movie.
Safe to say the movie theater experience really enhanced the movie quite a bit. You know?
Absolutely.
I discovered the recliner on accident. Like, I was just sitting down getting all situated, and then I noticed it started to rate. I was like, oh, my God. And then, like, I played with it for, like, 20 minutes before the movie even started. But it was great because we were in a room full of really hardcore Dragon Ball Z fans. Everybody that came in was around the same age as us. So we were all sort of like grooving on that fandom, and it was a lot of fun, especially because when we were actually watching the movie, like when a certain character would do something really badass or appear on screen, you could actually like hear everybody getting really excited.
Oh!
There were people who were actually cheering during certain scenes, and it was great. But first, let's talk about this movie experience, which was really, really fun, and it's also interesting to note that the movie we saw actually had the English dub. This is the one that's going to be eventually released when they release it on DVD and Blu-ray. And Dragon Ball Z is one of those few series where I could kind of enjoy both the Japanese and the American versions, and I think they did a pretty good job with this one.
To me, it just takes me back to Toonami. When I hear it in English, first of all, I think the voice actors are better than they've ever been. You know, they've been doing these voices for a long time now. Also, Funimation's got this down. I don't mind English. To be honest, if it's done right, I feel like English is more relatable. But I also understand someone like yourself and other people, they like the Japanese voices because they feel like they cover a different sort of emotional range, or that's just the show you remember now when you think of it in Japanese. So, you know, whether or not you like it in Japanese or English, I think you're going to have a good experience no matter what. Yeah. You're probably going to enjoy it, actually.
You know, and since we grew up watching it on Toonami as well, like you said, it just sort of like felt natural seeing these actors again. I especially loved Chris Sabat as Vegeta and Piccolo and everything. You know, as much as I like the Japanese version, I do think he does a fantastic job as Vegeta and just expressing his anger and just annoyance of having to hang out with Goku. So, speaking of that, let's go ahead and just talk about this movie, which is all about the return of Frieza, who's my favorite villain from the entire series, and this movie wastes like no time in getting into it. And one of the reasons why I think it's a much stronger film than Battle of Gods, because they just get right into the story. They let you know that Frieza's dead. In fact, the first shot is of going into hell. And at first it looks like the typical hell that we've seen from Dragon Ball, like with this giant waterfall of blood, and then as soon as they go into it, it transports you to this other place, which is this happy little field filled with fairies and stuffed animals and flying bunny girls, which is just something that Dragon Ball loves to do. And Frieza is trapped in this little cocoon, and only his head is poked out, and it's still Cyborg Frieza. The minute he appeared on screen, like, the whole theater just erupted into laughter. It was fantastic.
The whole audience felt it, for sure.
And this is where we get to learn a little bit more about the history of Frieza and how he was defeated by Trunks and everything. And then we get to learn that his army still exists in space, and they're still conquering planets. They just don't have the strength of Frieza anymore. But they're so incredibly dedicated that they are going to go to Earth, get the Dragon Balls, and wish him back to life. With the help of the frickin' Pilaf gang, no doubt. Which, you know, the Pilaf gang was used to great effect in this movie, because they were only in it for maybe, like, 2 minutes tops. Like, barely at all. They were just there to gather the Dragon Balls for the group. And I believe, like, the main guy who was trying to resurrect Frieza, his name was Sorbet.
Sorbet.
Yeah, he was the little, like, koala-looking alien, and he was joined by...
He's blue. He's a little blue alien.
And he has this, like, one ring that's, like, really powerful. So powerful, in fact, that later in the film, he severely hurts Goku with it. So, it's not too often that we see objects like that in the series, which can actually bring down, like, a main character with such a devastating attack. But they summon the dragon, they bring back Frieza, and Frieza comes back in the form in which he was defeated, where,
so it's like little Frieza chunks.
Yeah.
You know, it's like little Frieza chunks. But you can still tell he's alive. One, because Frieza's species is this weird sort of like, one, it can breathe in space, he can survive if you cut him in half. Like, he's just a really tough son of a bitch, you know, like, so they bring him back and he's all these Frieza chunks and you can see his eyes are still moving around.
I actually like that one detail they did because, you know, a lot of the villains in Dragon Ball Z, especially like Cell and Majin Buu, they have the ability to regenerate. Frieza can't do that, but the body chunks like still tried to come back together, but then they just fell apart because they just couldn't attach themselves anymore. I thought that was a nice little interesting detail. And what's also really funny is that my first thought was, okay, they just wished Frieza back to life. They get a second wish. I'm like, all right, well, they're just going to wish for Frieza's body to come back to normal. Nice little twist is that the Pilaf gang actually jumps in and they actually just want 1 million Zenny, which is a very small amount of money in the Dragon Ball Z world. It's just this tiny little stack of cash, and then they just get that and run away, and we really don't see them for the rest of the movie.
We're going to barbecue!
Yeah, Mongolian barbecue, I believe is what Emperor Pilaf was saying. And they use the combination of the Dragon Balls and this like special healing pod to bring Frieza back.
But if you remember, the Frieza people had, when Goku was really injured after his Captain Ginyu fight, he went into a regeneration tank, and that's exactly what they used for Frieza, but they said, our technology is better, so we can attach chunks, you know, and so they do the whole chunky Frieza. He comes out, boom, he's fully healed. Like, we're like at the halfway point. And I'm like, yes! They got Frieza back right in there.
And it's all interesting, too.
Yeah, halfway. And on top of that, you're getting to see Goku train with Vegeta against Whis, you know, on, what's that planet?
Beerus's dimensional planet of some sort.
Whatever it is, you know, the weird mansion in the sky with the other planets around it. So you see them training. Also, it's very foreshadowing to some of their fighting later, because Whis pretty much analyzes both of them and tells them where their weaknesses are, how Vegeta overthinks things and he lets his pride get in his way, and Goku's too carefree at times and lets his guard down. And you see all that sort of play in later in the film. But I really enjoyed that they spent so much time with Beerus and Whis, and they sort of like enjoyed hanging out there for a while, because I'm like, cool, this is awesome, you know, this is where the characters hang out now, you know.
I also really liked that they firmly established still, even by the end of this movie, both Beerus and Whis are by far, like, still the most powerful beings in the entire universe. Like, the scene where Goku and Vegeta are sparring against him, like, they don't even come close to touching him the entire time. Like, these guys are so obnoxiously powerful. And this is also where we learn that Whis has this other really special power, which is, like, a temporal reversion. I believe that's what he calls it. It allows him to actually travel back in time, but only about 3 minutes, so it's not completely hacked. And obviously they introduced this fact earlier on in the film because it's going to come into play much later on. But before we get to that, just the awakening of Lord Beerus was awesome because he actually doesn't like the fact that Whis is training Goku and Vegeta because he doesn't want them to become stronger than he is. And even Whis even says, you know, if you guys actually teamed up together, you'd be able to defeat Beerus, but Goku and Vegeta are never going to do that. After the end of the Majin Buu arc, and after them being, like, fused together, that's never going to happen again. I think they even bring that fact up, and Vegeta's like, no way, not gonna happen whatsoever.
We don't fight together.
Vegeta was hilarious in this movie.
Yeah, I felt like Vegeta got a lot of screen time in a lot of good ways. All personality as well as fighting. So they're really understanding the characters that they have in the sense that, like, they understand the important characters they should focus on. When like, Frieza shows up, Yamcha doesn't even show up. He's like, I'm not strong enough. I'm just not even going.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things because another really good thing about this movie is there's a lot of action scenes and it gives them an excuse to use a lot of the old characters, but not all of them entirely. They use, I guess you would say, the most competent fighters. You have Krillin, you have Piccolo, you have Gohan, you have Tien Shenhan, which is great seeing him again. And Tien was the one who's like, yeah, I left Chaozu behind, and Yamcha just, he can't handle this shit whatsoever. You could just hear the laughter in the room when they brought up Yamcha. It was really funny. Yamcha is officially the biggest joke of Dragon Ball. And then you also have the introduction of a very obscure character who is Jocko, the Galactic Patrolman, who's a character who has appeared...
I thought they just threw that motherfucker in there.
Yeah.
I thought they just tossed him in there.
And they didn't, like, do anything to sort of, like, show the new fans, like, who this guy is. They just assume, yeah, that's one of Bulma's childhood... It is. Jet Jaga! Don't make me sing the song. But it's interesting because they make it, like, assume, like, oh, you know that Bulma knew this Galactic Patrolman alien when she was a child. And Bulma also just happens to have a sister named Tights. This is all stuff which has been expanded upon in some of the spin-off Dragon Ball mangas, some of which has actually been worked on by Akira Toriyama. And it was nice seeing that character introduced because he was also another one of the real funny elements of the movie. And he's not exactly like a super powerful character, but he's a really smart character the way he fights against Frieza's army. And Here's the part of the movie that's without a doubt the best part. The minute Frieza arrives to the planet and all the soldiers come out, the action begins and it almost never stops for like an hour. It's ridiculous. If you didn't get enough action in Battle of Gods, you're going to get it all over Resurrection of F. And I love seeing everybody fight hand-to-hand against Frieza's army. That was one of the best scenes when they all scatter and start fighting, and we get to see a lot of the signature techniques. And Crillon returning was awesome. I especially loved his introduction with him being a cop and taking out those two goons who were trying to steal some stuff. And when he decided to cut his hair again, I thought that was really cool. And
yeah, they like left... Okay, Crillon first got introduced with hair.
Mm-hmm.
He got introduced with the most tolerable haircut I've ever seen him have in a series.
I agree.
And then he gets his outfit on, and then he tells Android 18, his wife, he's like, let's go old school with this. And then they shave his head. I'm like, hell yeah! They like, no! Look, we know he's got hair, but we're going to get rid of that for you guys. Like, I just felt like such a great nod to the fans. And again, like I said, they understand how to use these characters now more than ever. The other thing I like is that a lot of the side characters, mostly hand-to-hand combat.
For the most part, yeah.
All hand-to-hand combat. They all got to use big blasts, because, you know...
It's Dragon Ball.
It's Dragon Ball.
They got to do that.
But it wasn't just da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. You know, it was actually some real fighting in there. And I actually even enjoyed seeing Master Roshi up against the ropes, like kicking everyone's ass, too.
Oh, Roshi being in this movie was such a great choice. And it's surprising, too, because, you know, you almost sort of expect maybe, like, Yamcha to be more powerful than Roshi. No, Roshi was holding his own against these goons. He was probably the weakest member of the group, but just seeing him get all pumped up and did that one move where he put his staff into the ground and everybody ran towards it and he jumps up and just hits him with a Kamehameha, of course completely destroying his staff, but still, just getting to see him fight is really good. And, you know, this is another one of those instances, too, where I think the American version does have a leg up. And the only reason I say that is because the Japanese voice actor for Roshi actually passed away a few years ago, so he did have to be replaced. But this is the Roshi that we have known and loved in the English dub for so long, so it really felt like coming home with that character.
Didn't voice actor die a little while ago, too?
I'm not 100% on that, but I believe...
Japanese voice actor.
I think that did happen, but again, it's the same case. We did get the original version of Tien in this film again. Krillin, of course, returning was fantastic. Piccolo, Chris Sabat, always does a fantastic job. Piccolo was also unintentionally funny in this movie. I liked his first scene where he's actually babysitting for both Videl and Gohan.
Yeah, speaking of Gohan, I find his character... I didn't really like Gohan too much in the movie because he's kind of just a bookworm and he hadn't been training and he was actually a lot weaker than he used to be. But at the same time, that's the character that Gohan was always supposed to be in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to stop training and then be gone. But at the same time, like, I guess he lost his mythical powers too. Like, I don't really get it anymore.
The whole mystic Gohan thing has always been kind of confusing, even in Battle of Gods. You know,
they sort of like erased even that, even though that wasn't part of GT. That was obviously part of Z, but they still have sort of like backtracked with that because I thought he didn't need to go Super Saiyan anymore. I thought he was just super powerful on par.
It's also worth noting that Gohan is the only Saiyan in this movie who goes like the traditional gold-haired Saiyan. The other Saiyan transformations that we see in the movie are all completely new things.
They skip transformations. There's like
all together.
Just get to the good stuff. That's what this movie should be called. Get to the good stuff.
Exactly. But Gohan was still cool, but I do like that they are sticking to his actual character because when he was first introduced, a lot of people felt, and I felt the same way, that Gohan was basically going to be like the new Goku. He was going to be like his replacement because Goku was now dead. He's gone. But when they brought him back, they sort of like wrote themselves into a corner. We're like, well,
what do we don't now?
Yeah, we don't need two Gokus. Well, let's just keep Goku and let's turn Gohan back into the bookworm character that he was supposed to be from the beginning. So I'm glad that they're still holding firm with that. And then, of course, you get the big confrontation between Frieza, Goku, and Vegeta. And this is when the film just really kicks into high gear because, of course, you get the very first meeting between Goku and Frieza ever since their first battle on planet Namek. And my God, Frieza's voice actor was so funny in this movie, how pissed off he was constantly, and just the intimidation factor behind it, and the fact that he went right into his like first super mega powerful form and final form, yeah, just the sleek white version, and then they immediately just start going at it. Goku hasn't even transformed Super Saiyan yet, and he's still just going toe to toe with Frieza. And they're flying up into the air, into the atmosphere. You can see a lot of shots of them, just their powers destroying the landscape and everything. Very classic Dragon Ball. And during all of this, you can see that, you know, Goku's really enjoying himself, but Vegeta's getting all pissed off because he really wants to join the battle. And it's only a matter of time before he literally joins the battle and punches Goku in the face, and they start fighting because he actually wants to fight against Frieza. But this is all just a build-up to what is arguably the most important things about these movies, which are the new forms. Golden Frieza and the brand new Super Saiyan God form, which I liked them both. They were both really visually appealing, but this is probably my only complaint of the film, which is I like Golden Frieza, and I think it's cool, but it didn't really change anything about Frieza, aside from the outward appearance.
Get buffer.
That's about it, just a tad, but that's about it. I was kind of hoping maybe there would be like a brand new technique they could introduce. Maybe his brand new golden form would give him some sort of brand new godlike power, something we've never seen in the series before. But really, it's just more speed, more power. Well, in a way. But I mean, it's just, it's more, speed, more beam attacks, more of that. But all the choreography is pretty freaking fantastic.
Yeah, I actually... Okay, here's the thing. Their fight happens in two ways. One is in the beginning, like you're talking about now. When they first start fighting, Goku does not go Super Saiyan. He is in his base form, his black hair Goku. And him and Frieza go toe-to-toe, and Goku pretty much wins that fight.
Yeah.
And then you get Vegeta, flying in and saying, hey, man, it's my turn. This is a big thing that happens a lot, like Goku and Vegeta fighting over whose turn it is to fight Frieza. And, that whole thing is hilarious to me, because it's like, oh, they're both so powerful, and they both probably could defeat Frieza, that they want to take turns to see who gets the glory of doing it. It's very funny. And then you get the second half of the fight, which is obviously Goku going Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan. I think I said that right.
They don't even say it in the movie.
Yeah, they were like, we know that name's way too long, so we're not even going to go there. And then so Goku transforms, and then Frieza's like, okay, cool transformation. I'm going to transform. He transforms. He's like, okay, I'm just going to make this simple for you. It's Golden Frieza.
Yeah. That was pretty cool.
The best parts, too. Frieza's writing, I feel, has never been better than it was for this film. They completely captured Frieza's... he's a smart guy. Like, at the end of the day, he's almost like a very well read. Like, you could imagine him reading Shakespeare or something. Like, he's just this classy English gentleman, but for some reason is an evil dictator at the same time.
He kind of reminds me of like a 1980s cartoon villain, kind of like Skeletor the Shredder, because he's always got like a perfectly well-timed insult for just about every character. And it's so well written and so well read by the actual voice actor. You can just feel the emotion behind everything that Frieza's wanting to do. And Frieza's just so pissed off. He just wants his revenge, and nothing continues to work out for him. Every single time he thinks he has an advantage, Goku goes through a transformation sequence. Every single time he's about to finish him off in the battle, suddenly Lord Beerus appears. And this was something that I think was very, very important, and it just established that Beerus and Whis are just so disgustingly powerful. The minute Frieza actually witnesses Beerus, Frieza, for the first time in the series, is actually scared and afraid to do something. And I think that's just a side of Frieza that we've never seen before. I kind of equate it to that scene from Battle of Gods where the dragon met Beerus for the first time.
Yes.
Everybody who knows about Beerus and runs into him gets completely freaked out. And they should be freaked out, because if he doesn't even like certain foods, he'll destroy your planet. And that's the only reason he doesn't even destroy Earth. And according to Whis, that's the only reason they decided to save the Earth, was just for its delicious food. But I just really love that scene, just seeing Frieza like that, a form that we've never really seen before. I call it pussified Frieza. But it was really, really great. But here's the thing. So Goku and Frieza have this amazing fight. He gets pushed against the wall, and then he suddenly gets tricked by one of Frieza's henchmen, Sorbet, who uses this magic ring to hit him with this blast, which puts this hole in his chest. But
there are no organs in shonen anime.
No, nothing like that, yeah. But I mean, it's a beam. We could say that, just went through him completely and just destroyed everything.
You've seen Goku get, pierced with energy blast, and it fucks him all up. It pretty much defeats him. There he is, laying there, fuck.
And Frieza just beats the crap out of Goku while he's wounded, slamming him against walls and stuff. And that's when Vegeta comes in. This was in the theater. You could just feel the energy from every seat, because everybody's just like, oh shit, Vegeta's actually going to be the one to finish off this fight. It's going to be amazing. And unlike Goku, who actually did get beaten by Frieza quite a bit, Vegeta just walks in, transforms into his Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan form, and just wails on Frieza. Just left, right, kicks, slam, bam, against the wall, to the point where Frieza actually loses the Golden Frieza transformation, because as Vegeta said, knowing Frieza, once you got that golden form, you wasted no time into coming to Earth. You're like, alright, good enough, let's go kill the Saiyans. And because of that, Frieza actually can't even control his golden form, and that's when Vegeta took advantage of the battle and was literally about to finish off Frieza. Huge energy attack right to the face, but Frieza decides to destroy the planet at the last second with a massive blast. The Earth is destroyed in this movie. This is the second time in the series the Earth has been destroyed, and thanks to the powers of Beerus and Whis, only a few members of the team have actually survived. And if you guys remember, at the very beginning of the movie, Whis revealed that he had the ability to go back in time, but only 3 minutes. So what happens, I think, is probably going to be one of the most controversial aspects of the movie, which is they go back right in time, right before Vegeta is about to finish off Frieza. And right before that happens, before he has a chance to destroy the planet, Goku comes in his Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan form and hits him point blank with a Kamehameha. And it's really funny because, you know, Vegeta wanted to finish this battle. The whole movie is him waiting for this moment. And he's right there, about to finally get revenge for all of the terrible things that Frieza has done, destroying his planet, all that jazz, and Goku still ends up stealing the glory. But they still manage to make it very funny. And of course, that is the end of Frieza.
Perfect balance of action and storytelling. Like, that's the thing. Battle of Gods, I think, suffered from a little bit too much explaining. They had a lot of storytelling weight to move in that movie. This time, none of that. We know who Frieza is. We know who Beerus is. We know all that stuff. So now just go for it. And they did. Perfect balance. Funny the whole time. We didn't talk about the other epic confrontation. Yes, confrontation within this film, and that was Bulma versus Frieza.
Yeah, that was one of the funniest parts of the movie because, and I didn't even realize it until I was watching the movie. It's true. Despite the fact that Bulma was on Planet Namek that entire time, she never actually saw Frieza or confronted him. And you know, Bulma's not going to take shit from anyone, and
well, she's been surrounded by super powerful people her whole life.
Yeah, so I guess she realizes, well, they'll protect me, it's no big deal. But she just immediately starts yelling at Frieza and making fun of him constantly, and it isn't until Frieza actually displays his power that she decides to back off just a little bit, but she still manages to piss him off even more. And just little things like that, like when Frieza is arriving on the planet, like I like how he was in his little like floating chair thing,
his hover pod.
Yeah, like when he saw Gohan again, he took him out in one punch and he got right back into his chair.
Yes.
And this was just Frieza in his initial form, so that really shows
base
like
form, yeah.
Gohan needs to do some serious training.
But at the same time, Frieza is way more powerful than he used to be.
Frieza's a beast in this movie. But they knew that.
And also it shows that Frieza could have been more powerful than everyone if he had trained for another 5 months. He probably would have been way more powerful. He probably would have been Beerus level strong. Because if he caught up the whole distance that Goku has fought from Cell and Buu in 4 months, that's incredible. So, and it almost is a shame because like, you're like, what about if they could have turned Frieza good and turned him into like part of the Universe 7 Defense Forces, you know?
I'm glad that didn't happen.
Of course not. Of course not. But what I'm saying is that Frieza, it almost makes me sad that like when Goku's like, you could have been my best sparring partner, bro. Like, and you don't want to be that.
We could have had something.
Yeah. And so I found that whole thing very interesting. It's a cool concept. It's more of a what if. But overall, I just really enjoyed it. I think it's better than Battle of Gods. And what are the numbers, Corey? We were talking about the numbers a little bit. You said that this thing made like $3 million in its opening weekend.
Yeah, just in the last week, it's made a little over $3 million. It's still not done with its run. But what's really impressive about the film is that it only had a budget of about $5 million, and it's already cleaned up in Japan, and they're already going to get even more awesome revenue back from the States.
You know what that means? You know what that means, right? They made their money back. They made more than they spent to make the movie, and they're making a ton more. That means they're going to make more stuff.
Hopefully.
Yes.
And hopefully we'll get Dragon Ball Super licensed, you know, because the thing about Dragon Ball Super is they're going to be redoing this arc just like they're doing Battle of Gods. I really can't wait to see what they're going to add to the anime version. As we were walking out of the theater, I was saying that one of the things I wanted to see was actually Frieza's training. I want to see how that's going to go down. I want to see if Frieza's going to be traveling to other planets to fight other beings as a part of his training.
Want him to put on like a band around and do like an 80s training montage.
Yeah, like on the log.
Yeah.
Like Karate Kid style.
Like wax on, wax off.
Exactly. Like maybe he meets someone who can actually train him as well and then eventually kills the trainer at the same time. Like there's so much like possibilities for what they could do with that part of the story. And of course they can just include more characters in the whole battle scenario. And another aspect of the film was that Frieza, of course, had some goons, as always. But there weren't as many goons in this movie. Like, you know, there's Sorbet, but he's not exactly a powerhouse type of character. But then there was this other, like, really big, pissed-off, red-looking guy. I want, like, a whole new next-generation Ginyu Force that they can include in the arc that's, like, really strong. And that guy was pretty strong. He was fighting against Piccolo on close to even terms, but Gohan just got in there and just completely annihilated him. But that was what I was kind of hoping to see, was just maybe some more unique bad guys, because pretty much everybody in Frieza's army just got obliterated. And they definitely did, because after they were defeated by the Z-Warriors, Frieza destroyed all of them with one single blast, because no one's getting out alive.
He didn't like the way their bodies looked across the battlefield.
Exactly. Like the minute that one soldier, he's like, "Oh, we're sorry, Lord Frieza." I'm like, dude, why'd you talk? You're so screwed now. You know that. You know what Frieza's like. Hell, when Frieza came back for the very first time out of the pod, the first thing he does is just kill one of the soldiers. Like, I'm a little rusty. And then just literally blows this hole in the ship, and they all start flying out the window. It was really crazy. Fans of Chrono Trigger, look out for the frog character. He is totally in this movie. Just, I really enjoyed this. Out of all the summer movies that I've seen, this one is about on par with Kung Fury, I'd say.
Kung Fury is still number one.
Yeah, but this was an experience that I'm never going to forget. I'm really glad that I avoided all of the footage that's online, because this movie has been viewable for a lot of people. You could totally just Google Resurrection of F, and you could probably find like a crappy, like, video version of it, but I wanted to wait, and I'm really glad I did, because there's never going to be another Dragon Ball Z movie experience like this again, unless, of course, they release another movie, in which case, bring it on. Let's see it happen. This was a great experience, and you guys still might have a chance to go see it. I don't know how long it's going to be in theaters. I don't know if it's just for this week, but still, they're probably going to be releasing the DVD and Blu-ray, so hit up Funimation with that, and Funimation, you guys are doing a fantastic job. Just keep up the amazing work.
Very good stuff, you guys. Thank you so much for watching our video. We really appreciate it. Make sure and give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, we've got a show, and it's called The Powerful Nerdcast, and you can check that out on our YouTube page, iTunes, or RogueIntel.com. So check that out as well, guys. We talk about all this stuff all the time. Honestly, this is practically a mini episode of a podcast.
In many ways.
Yes, so if you like this, go check out the podcast. Also, we got Amazon associate links where you can go buy stuff through that link on Amazon. It helps us out. Or you
like Dragon Ball Z DVDs or manga.
Or you can just donate through PayPal. But either way, the best way to always enjoy our stuff is just watch it and share it with your friends. Maybe follow us on Facebook and Twitter if you want to. So thank you guys so much. And until next time. Yeah!
Worst instant transmission ever!